Lucy was up bright and early on the Saturday morning, all ready to go, knowing that Stephanie would be turning up any minute. Yep, Stephanie had offered to help her do out the shed in the backyard. Lucy was up, breakfasted, tea'd, and also fed the cat, before Stephanie even showed her face. Stephanie's car pulled up outside at the end of the garden path, and Lucy went to greet her. There was Stephanie, dressed as Lucy in t-shirt and jeans and old trainers. They knew they were going to be doing some dirty jobs today, so they weren't wearing their best clothes. Stephanie had on a headscarf, and already some of her hair was falling loose from the side of it. Her hair was silky and shiny, and it wouldn't stay up there long. "Morning," said Lucy. "Morning," said Stephanie, as she got some bits out the back of the car. In one hand she had some clean clothes, just in case, and in the other she had a caramel and fresh cream sponge. "Well," said Lucy, "you starting the day off right. We're going to need sustenance," said Stephanie, and smiled. "And I popped by the baker's and got some bread rolls. Have you got any cheese and pickle?" she said. "I have," said Lucy, "the mainstay of every young person's home." "I have. Well, I thought that we could have this for lunch, because I'm going to need it," she said. "This kind of work outside always makes me hungry," said Stephanie. "Me too," said Lucy. "Snap, we must be twins," and they both laughed. As they got inside the kitchen, Lucy offered Stephanie tea. "You want a cuppa before we start?" said Lucy. "No, thank you," said Stephanie. "Let's get on the job. It wasn't that long ago I had my breakfast." "Okay." Lucy unlocked the back door and they stepped out into the yard. At first they just stood there listening to the sounds of the day. A dog was barking in the distance, and Lucy said, "I don't know why, but it always makes me feel secure when I hear a dog bark." Stephanie looked at her and raised her eyes to the sky. "Sometimes I wonder about you, Lucy," she said. They went over to the old disused outside toilet. It was a brick one, very sturdy. Roof still pretty good. Few places it would need patching up, but Lucy did still want to use it as garden tool shed. So she had persuaded Stephanie that it would be a good idea to help her clean it out this weekend. Stephanie grabbed a broom and held it towards the door. "What are you doing?" Lucy said. "Well, you don't know what's in there," said Lucy, with the biggest grin on her, said Stephanie with the biggest grin on her face. Lucy tutted and opened the door. All that came out was dust. As she opened the door, the dust kicked up. They stepped back and waited for it to settle for a few moments. "Okay, let's get going," said Stephanie, and Lucy started passing out bits and pieces to Stephanie, as it was easier if one was in the doorway and not two. It wasn't overly big. There was no toilet in there anymore, and the water system had been removed and all pipes had been removed. It was basically now just a little yard shed, perfect for the gardening tools. Lucy looked at the tools as she started to pull them out. Spade, shovel, rake, hoe, all sorts of things. And there was even a couple of old metal sieves in there that looked like they'd had better days, but probably been used for coal to get the dust separated from the chunks of coal in the days when the open fire was used more often, thought Lucy. "Gosh, it's dusty," said Stephanie. "Look at the state of these tools," said Lucy. "I can't imagine Mrs. P leaving her gardening tools or any implements in this state." "Probably wasn't her," said Stephanie. "She had a gardener for a while before she went into the home, so I could imagine that he left them like that, and he was a bit lacklustre, if you ask me." "I'm not happy about this." "Don't worry about it," said Stephanie. "Go and get me a bucket of warm, soapy water, and I'll get on the job. We'll clean them up, because we are not, I repeat, we are not putting them back in this state." "Okay," said Lucy, and off into the kitchen she went, leaving Stephanie pulling out a few bits more. Stephanie came across some old newspapers, and she sat there looking at them as she waited for Lucy to return with the bucket of warm soapy water. Lucy, in the kitchen, said hello to the cat as it wound its way around her legs. "Can't stop now," she said. "Got things to do. Catch you later, furry buddy," and off she went. Back out in the garden, she spotted Stephanie sitting on an upturned bucket. "Cool, you're working then," said Lucy. "Just looking at these papers," said Stephanie. "Some of these are really, really old. They must have been here forever." So for a while they just sat there and looked at the headlines, catching up on things that sometimes even they didn't know about. "I wonder if they were Mrs. P's." "Dunno," said Lucy. "Could have been her husband," said Lucy. "Or they could have been the neighbours," said Stephanie. "Maybe she brought them in for the cat." They both laughed. "Yeah, once upon a time the cat must have been the kitten, and he must have needed some of these, because in them days they didn't buy all these fancy pads for their animals like they do today." Newspaper was the call of the day. They sat there for a while and just chatted about some of the headlines. "Come on," said Stephanie, "we're never going to get on." Lucy said "OK then," and got up. They piled all the papers over the way. They could use them, recycle them, whatever. Some of them were really old and had really started to smell. But anyway, Stephanie went over and started cleaning the implements and getting them all clean. "Some of them have gone a bit rusty." "Don't worry about it. We can put some oil on them," said Lucy. "There must be something we can do. They've still got a lot of life left in them, and I'm not buying new while we got these." Stephanie was really rubbing off on her. Stephanie was really, use it, fix it, don't throw it away. Or, if you've lost use for it, pass it on. And Lucy, after their chats, decided it was a good idea, because in the long run it did save you quite a lot of money. So Lucy has decided that was what she was going to do. She wasn't going to throw anything away, just in case it could be fixed. They came across at the very back an old push mower, looking rusty. It was green and red. "Looks really old," she said. "OK," said Lucy. "What do you reckon? Throw it away?" "Don't you dare," said Stephanie. "We'll oil it, we'll sharpen it, and we'll use it." And that's what they both intended to do. As they were working, they joked and they laughed, and at times they even almost cried as they were talking to each other about times gone by, lost loves, lost friends, lost family. Lucy said, "Right, you'll have to get out because I need to clean up in here. Come on." As she was sweeping out, she gave a shout. "Wah! What's the matter?" said Stephanie, thinking something had bitten her. "Oh, crumbs, there's mouse droppings in here." "What do you expect?" said Stephanie. "We do live in the country." "Oh, I didn't expect there to be mouse droppings." "There might even be a mouse," said Stephanie. "Oh, I hope not," said Lucy. "Hopefully they've all left home before we got here." Lucy got the bass broom and started to sweep. Found the dust too much, went indoors, got a headscarf and put it around her nose and mouth. "That would be better, you said," she said. Stephanie laughed. "You look like a highwayman." Ha! And that was it. They both fell into peals of laughter. "Stand and deliver," said Lucy. "Don't be daft," said Stephanie, bending over with laughter. They carried on, pulling all the bits out, getting all the rest of the papers, bits of wire, nails, screws, all sorts of things that you expect to find in the bottom of a shed. "I didn't think there'd be much in such a tiny space." They looked up. There was even nails with old sacks hanging off them, bags hanging off them. They removed all those, and of course it was dusty and dirty, and Stephanie stayed outside. She said, "I'm not getting covered in that. It's your shed. You do it." As the time went on, they began to realise they were getting a bit peckish. They thought it was time to stop for lunch, so that's what they decided to do. So indoors they went for their rolls and their cake.